Here you can see a list of eligible drivers to declare as your rival. The more challenging they are to beat, the more the paddock will respect you for
Welcome to Shanghai, China, for what I've no doubt is going to be a fantastic F1 qualifying session. And as we wait, poised for the start of what will hopefully be a thrilling qualifying, why don't you tell us, Anthony Davidson, about the things you can do to really get the most out of a car in a session like this?
Well, you're largely limited by the Parc Fermé regulations, of course. Back in the old days, pre-2004, you'd work on both a qualifying setup and a race setup over practice, and then swap them over after qualifying. So the race car was quite different at times to the qualifying car. Nowadays though, you have to find a compromise that works for both. There are a few things that you can still adjust during the session, such as the differential, the brake bias and the front wing angle, but that's about it. So it's more about optimizing what you do have and adapting your own style to suit the track conditions.
Very happy with that position. Well done.
And with qualifying complete, let's review our top three today. Bottas, Verstappen and Varsandi. Well, that wraps up...
Great work out there today. Let's have your thoughts. It's got to be a relief to qualify that far up the grid. Do you feel that you don't need to practice? It's the start of the season. How do you think things are going to go for you? Appreciate your time.
Well done. Very solid result. You're looking good for the race.
It's time to find out which driver is up to the task of claiming the Chinese Grand Prix. We're here in Shanghai. We start a lap here at Shanghai with the long, difficult right-handers of turns 1 and 2, the first of 16 corners that make up this 3.3-mile circuit. The incredibly long back straight provides the best passing opportunity of the lap, with speeds in excess of 200 miles per hour before the braking zone of turn 14. Alongside me once again for coverage of today's race, it's none other than the great Anthony Davidson. Let's talk briefly about Lando Norris. Looks like they've got a tough race in store today, as grid penalties from changing power unit components has forced them further down the field.
But on the bright side, at least those fresh components can help them maintain the power they need to come through the pack. I expect to see them take a more aggressive approach today to make up for the compromised start.
Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. Valtteri Bottas lines up on pole position, edging out Max Verstappen, who'll start from P2. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Varsandi, Vettel, Lewis Hamilton and Leclerc, Albon, Weber, Magnussen and Devon Butler, Grosjean, Ricciardo, Lance Stroll and Gasly, Raikkonen, Russell, Daniel Kvyat and Lando Norris. Giovinazzi and Robert Kubica takes the last spot on the grid. And with preparations almost complete, let's head down to the track.
Now that we've got some points on the board, let's continue this form and aim for another top 10 finish. Map is good, but we need to learn the gears, so go into each one when you can. We're going to need some work on the brakes, so put some energy into them and warm the tyres as well, please. Is clear. Weather is looking good for now. Let's focus now for the rest of the race. this up. We expect the grip levels to start falling away soon. Lap, so push now. You're increasing the gap on the car behind by 0.5 per lap. Okay, remember to pit this lap. Release. Look after these tyres now. We want to finish the race on this compound. grids. Good job, nice overtake. Has boxed for the mediums, car behind on the medium tyre. Right, some information on Grosjean. They are out of the race. Teammate by 19.7 seconds. Flag. Watch the aggression, please. We don't want to lose places because of a penalty. Made it look easy. Okay, you're in the top 10. Data shows the tyres are okay right now. We anticipate good levels of grip for the next few laps at least. There's 5 laps of fuel remaining. Is in P4 at the moment. The gap is 4.7 seconds. They're on old mediums. The time last lap was a 1 minute 41.1. behind is 28.9 seconds. They're on old mediums. They're in 12th. The time last lap was a 1:43.3. There's 4 laps of fuel remaining. This is your final lap of the race. That's 3 wins in a row. Unbelievable work.
That was brilliant stuff from Racing Point today. What a superb victory. Anthony Davidson, what helped them deliver this result, do you think?
Well, this was a real team victory. They put together a solid strategy today that appeared well suited to the conditions out on track. The driver did everything that was expected of them in the moment to really execute the team's plan to perfection. A shining example of how F1 really is a team sport.
Racing Point's performance today has shown that they can be competitive with the veterans of the sport. They're making their way out to the podium now as we speak, and the reaction from the crowd must be incredibly uplifting for them. So, let's review the drivers' standings. Varsandi increases their championship lead. So, Anthony Davidson, who would you rank as your driver of the day?
It's got to be Lando Norris, hasn't it? Smooth, confident and assured. I've got no doubt that he and his team are going to be over the moon with his performance today.
Let's move on to the constructors. Racing Points move up to the top of the standings. There was also a strong showing from the Mercedes team today as they make their way up the standings.
Great work out there today. Let's have your thoughts. It was more like dodgems than Formula 1 today, wasn't it? Your team must be ecstatic with how you're performing. You've had experience with Devon's fast, aggressive style. Any advice for the... Great! Well, that's everything.